Well, it was a search that captured the Gulf Coast attention.
7-year-old Jackson Hillman discovered missing around 10 yesterday morning, and multiple law enforcement agencies joining in to search for him.
Yeah, Fox 10 Live was live with your coverage of this search. We were out there, Ashlyn Mitchell, along with a Fox 10 crew, just there with all those who were searching as well. And around 5:30, that's when we got the great news that Jackson had been found in the woods.
Yeah, all of that playing out at 5 o'clock yesterday. You saw the family getting excited, a lot of hugs out there. And of course, Ashlyn, she had been covering it all day. She even got choked up during the live coverage.
Yeah, I think it was emotional for everyone, and that's what we want to talk about today. We want to welcome you into Fox 10 Live on this Friday, starting things off a little bit different. I'm Shelby Myers.
I'm Lee Peck. We also have Sheriff Paul Burch. You guys really responding right away once you got word that the child was missing.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we, if it's a child or an elderly person, that's a stop what you're doing, all hands on deck type situation.
And what extent of area did you have to search yesterday?
Well, the way it was a big area, and most of it wooded. And what you have to look at when you have a search like that is to establish a timeline to know how far out you may need to go. And you want to set a perimeter, and then what we typically do is get an aerial shot and then break the areas into grids if we don't find the person right away.
A lot of resources dedicated to this search, like you said, by air, on the ground, multiple agencies. Atmore, the prison there, had their canine dogs. You were talking about the use of the dogs. Talk about their role in all this. Yeah,
we use them from time to time. They use a different canine than we do. Theirs are strictly for tracking and usually escaped prisoners. And so they train a lot. But they're smaller dogs, mostly beagles. They can get through heavy brush a lot easier than our handlers can with our canines, because ours are larger dogs. And they work on scent rather than ground disturbance, so they work differently.
You guys were up against the sun going down. We've seen this play out an entirely different way, but you guys were up against a deadline.
We were, not necessarily a deadline, but it changes things when you're searching in the dark. Now, sometimes it can be beneficial. We do have drones that have FLIR, and so we can see different objects in a wooded area if it's not too dense. So there are different obstacles, but sometimes they're obstacles and sometimes they're beneficial. But our concern was the child had been out there so long and it was hot yesterday.
Sure.
At what point when you're searching, you see so much bad, you have to maybe have a negative mindset. Were you feeling that way, and then all of a sudden the tides turned and you found him? What was the case right before you were getting where it would get darker into the evening?
We all were getting concerned. That there is a swampy area back there, and we were trying to make arrangements for divers if necessary. And so that was an initial concern after we didn't find the child right away. But obviously, the closer it gets to dark, that's the longer the child's been without food and water and all that, and maybe disoriented. One thing, we talked about dogs in a different sense. We felt a little okay that he was okay because his dogs had not returned home. And we have seen that numerous times where, especially with a child or an older person, the dogs stay with their owners. And so since those dogs hadn't come back home, we felt, okay, he's still out here somewhere with his pets.
I think that was something that I was thinking too.
Sure.
And a lot of people were talking about, well, have the dogs returned? If the dogs are still out there, then hopefully that means they are protecting this little boy.
That was our hope,
Yeah.
and that turned out to be the case.
Now take me back to that moment when you did find him. You said you were telling us a little bit ago that it was so chaotic, you don't even remember exactly how he was found. But just talk about the emotions that were released right then.
I mean, it was an emotional moment for everyone on the scene. Once it came across the radio, area residents and family, were emotional, as well as some of the media and some of the deputies. I mean, that's you for the first few hours you're real hopeful, and then that starts to decline. This is compare it to the search we had a couple weeks ago in Bellingraph. We were very hopeful for a long time, and that one didn't end the way we had hoped it to end.
When we saw that picture of him surrounded by law enforcement and he appeared to be okay, that was a good feeling. It was a good way to end a very long day.
It was, and you know, the funny thing, you know, one thing I was told that he didn't really see anything going on. He was just out there exploring, playing, having fun.
Didn't even know he was missing.
Like a little boy.
Right.
Well, before we let you go, we are out of time. We would love to talk to you more and more about this. You know, we talked about this off camera as well. It wasn't not just the Mobile County Sheriff's Office. We talked about Atmore, but multiple different agencies, and you want to give them their praise too.
I do. You know, law enforcement in Mobile County area have such great partnerships. So, you know, I have a lot of gratitude for the Mobile FBI office, ABI, ALEA, Alabama Department of Corrections for their dogs and personnel, Alabama Game and Fish, Mobile County Communications. They brought their command post out there. Mobile County EMS, DHR, area residents, and the volunteer firemen that came out.
A true team effort.
Yeah, it was, and it takes that.
Well, we are so glad that this story had a happy ending. Again, little Jackson Hillman is back home with his family after getting checked out. He was safe and sound.